If you live somewhere in like Florida or Australia.
A mango up here?
Yeah.
You're lucky we can even get them.
Mangoes, period, yeah.
Yeah.
But, you think of any type of vegetable or fruit, there are a lot of different varieties. Apples.
Apples.
They're like...
Now that we can get a lot of
That we can
variety.
get a lot of.
Apples we can get tons of varieties
So,
of.
yeah.
Because, Yeah, but anyway.
Although people tell you, oh, well, there's pork and ham. And bacon.
And ham and bacon.
Come from a pig.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different cuts of meat, of course.
I
But
know.
how many different... I mean, I'm not even going to...
I know. But yeah, so there's that. And
Yeah.
there's making them sound like, this whole article makes them sound like they're victims.
They
And they're
are
not.
victims.
Oh yeah, they're victims of the poor vegans that were just so numerous and we're just threatening their whole way of life.
I mean, what is the worst thing a vegan's going to do to this woman? Write her a letter? I mean, come on. We're like the most ineffectual crowd anywhere. It's like, well, we're going to write a letter. Yay! Come on. It's like, let's write a letter. I mean, that's like usually the extent of what we end up doing.
I mean, we're what? Literally like almost 2% of the population in the United
2%?
States. Almost. It's like 1.5.
You're including vegetarians in that.
No, there's vegetarians is like 3.
Oh.
So, anyway. Yeah. So.
Let's write her a letter.
We're
I'm being funny. I'm not.
But that's a typical strategy of people who aren't victims is to play the victim card, like
Of course.
like oh poor me, and then to call the call for tolerance when in fact they're not tolerant towards the other view.
Oh yeah, I know. But it's like it's like asking us to be tolerant of I don't know, child rape. It's like a moral. It's something that we see as morally problematic. Drink as morally wrong. And we look at it that way, and it's like, well, what do you want? Like, I don't understand the vegetarians. Like, I respect the way omnivores live. I respect them. I want everybody to be happy, and they respect the way they eat, and they respect the way I eat. And I'm like, you know what? I don't understand that. Like, I understand if it's someone in your family, okay? But, like, and I understand if you tolerate it.
Right.
Because you live with the person. But what is there to respect about something that you recognize as a moral wrong? Why would you respect that? I don't understand. So I view it as perhaps the fundamentalist intolerance I have is what scares her. People like me. I don't know.
Yes. Well, I don't know. Anyway. Yeah.
No, but I mean, I don't know. She wants there to be tolerant. She's trying to say like everybody should just get along. But it's like, how can you get along with someone with whom you have such a deep fundamental disagreement? That's what I want to know.
Right. Exactly. And just like I don't have a tolerance for homophobes or racists or sexist. I'm not going to have a tolerance for people who kill animals for their food.
Well, I don't believe that there's that between every argument there's a middle. I don't believe there's a middle position between Hitler and the Jews, right? Like I don't believe that. I mean, some liberals have this notion that if we all sit down and just talk about it, we can find common ground. I don't think there's common ground between Hitler and the Jews, for example, right? I don't think there's common ground between, I don't know, me and someone who raises animals for money. Like, how can there be common ground? Because these two views are epistemologically fucking completely different. They cannot. They bump into each other. They're logically exclusive.
Right. That's because
I'm getting hot.
People fail to recognize that meat eating is an ideology.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is.
And for those of you who have been listening for a long time, you remember we talked about this way back when we interviewed a woman named Melanie Joy who actually wrote about this and coined the term carnism. Yeah,
I mean, what I like about carnism is that it kind of turns the picture around. Like we recognize veganism as an ideology. Right? We have our set of ideologies. We believe animals should not be exploited, used for entertainment, et cetera, et cetera. All the vegans know what we're talking about, correct? Okay, so that's kind of our ideology, but we never assume that there's also an ideology involved in the other side, right? Omnivores, they just assume that what they do is natural. But that's what ideology does. It covers up, and it lets us take things for granted without really thinking, right? Ideology short circuits our thinking processes in some ways. So we tend to look at meat eating, we tend to look at it as quote unquote normal, right?
Right. It's like the neutral position.
It's like the neutral position.
Nothing but.
It's not neutral at all. And what ideology does, it's very good at covering it, at covering itself up so that you don't notice it. So
Right. So people sit down to dinner and eat their steak and don't think about it because
Exactly.
they don't have to.
exactly. So I think that that's the thing, is that we live in a society in which all the stuff is constructed such that we don't have to ever really contemplate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the dog trying to do?
He wants to leave.
He's an idiot because it's nice and cool in here.
It is.
It's really hot in the rest of the house.
It is.
Okay.
We play this game all the time.
Yes, we do. Well, looks like he might have given up.
He's going to lay down. We just need to give him some time.
Okay.
Anyway.
Dog ass.
Fucking dog ass right in my face. Anyway, it's a puppy poop shoot right there. Ram it. Yeah, ideology. So I had a better ideology lecture yesterday on the show, but that was the only good thing that we did yesterday.
Yeah.
So
But that was pretty good.
no, but I think to get back to the whole ideology thing, we need to start deconstructing what it means to be a meat eater.
Mm-hmm.
And to be a meat eater, there is an implication in eating meat, a political implication in eating meat, just as like there's a political implication in veganism, right? I think one of the reasons we have to talk about veganism and not call it vegetarianism is because veganism is like a statement about the way you live in the world. It is saying, I believe that killing animals for food or for other things is wrong, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, and that's a subtle implication that you have all the time as you're functioning as a vegan. You sit down to a dinner, even if you don't say anything and you aren't eating the animal products, people wonder why you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So it creates that little moment of cognitive dissonance that disrupts their ideology.
Mm-hmm.
The flip side of that ideology, for carnism, for people who are omnivores, there is an implication in that the dominance over animals is okay and acceptable. I don't buy that. And I think we need to start illustrating that to people. I mean, the implication, if you eat a cow, right, there's an implication in eating that cow that it was okay for you to kill it. So there is an implication about the domination of nature in that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Am I getting too nerdy?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm going to step away from that, though, because it's too fucking hardcore.
No, it's interesting.
Good.
Plus, I mean, it has implications, like you just said, when people sit down to dinner, and
Yeah.
even if you don't say anything and you're just not eating the meat, it's an implication in that you are not participating in that ideology.
That's right. But again, underneath all the meat eating is also an ideology. This woman
Right.
who wrote this article for the Iowa Farm Bureau, I mean, her implication underneath this is that it's okay to consume animals. So,
Mhm, of course,
and that the world without it would be difficult. Oh no, are the dogs fighting?
they're humping.
Lucky them. Okay. So, anyway, moving on.
Okay, we have one other article that we wanted to talk about today, and it's just a brief, food for rant for about welfareism, as usual. This one comes from LM, and she found it in her local newspaper and wanted us to rant about it because it infuriated her. And it's called When Food Has Values.
When food has values.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. And it comes from the Sacramento News and Review, in case I didn't say that already. It starts off, for conscientious consumers who care about what they eat and where it came from, eating animal products can be something of a dilemma.
A dilemma.
Not for me.
Not at all.
Just don't eat them.
That's the easy one, isn't it?
Yep.
But Jenna, you can't say shit like that.
No, of course.
Tampering in dark-sided stuff!
You'd be tampering in dark-sided stuff.
Well, that goes back to the ideology. It's like, it's okay to eat meat. Okay,
Right.
we might want to think about something, we can do it a little nicer.
Yeah.
But, it's like the baseline for them is we still have to eat meat.
It never occurs to most people just not to eat meat, period.
Right, exactly. And so
And-
that doesn't even come up in their dilemma.
No, it doesn't.
We need to make it come up
We do.
more.
Yes.
Okay.
Agreed.
Anyway, to continue. While place of origin labels and the certified organic stamp make it easier to purchase generally organic, minimally processed produce, voting for your food values with your wallet is often less easy when it comes to meat and dairy products. And there's another assumption, is that we have to just participate in this whole system of meat. Anyway. For instance, just because an egg carton claims the eggs are from free-range hens, that doesn't necessarily mean those hens are being fed the best food, or even that they're ranging very far for very long. And while the labels natural or organic on meat products may tell you that cattle haven't been filled with antibiotics and growth hormones, they don't necessarily ensure animals were particularly well treated during their lives, or that they were slaughtered as humanely as possible. Of course, all of this is true. Enter the certified humane raised and handled label.